fascinating example of how human beings create value or estimate or judge value, and it's not always rational. You cannot tell me that you can create out of nothing something which has a medium of exchange value. It is not a rational currency in that sense.
What about the dollar?
That does not mean it will not trade, because so long as people believe they can sell it to somebody else or unload it on somebody else, that's all you need to create a market. And look, human beings buy all sorts of things that aren't worth anything.
Like dollars.
But they do it anyway. People gamble in casinos when the odds are against them. It has never stopped anybody. You cannot tell me that you can create out of nothing something which has a medium of exchange value. It is not a rational currency in that sense. You cannot tell me that you can create out of nothing something which has a medium of exchange value. It is not a rational currency in that sense. It is not a rational currency in that sense.
Welcome back to the Genius Maltby channel, friends and viewers and subscribers. I hope you can stick around for the duration of this video broadcast. It's going to be most likely a long one, so buckle up, pour yourself some coffee, some tea, or a stiff drink, and join me as we break down today's discussion and news surrounding cryptocurrency and Bitcoin, because yes, it's in the news. We have to talk about it. If you don't like it, I'm sorry. It happens to be the timeline in which you and I exist. To ignore it is to be ignorant. What in the name of all that is normal did we just witness? The former Fed chairman just said that you cannot create something out of nothing as a medium of exchange, saying it is not a rational currency in that sense. Yes, I played it multiple times, and I even slowed it down for those of you who might have been busy chewing on crayons and not heard it. Unbelievable. Really, unbelievable. The former Fed chairman, please tell, you know who he is, Alan Greenspan. These are the guys, the architects, his prodigy, Benjamin Bernanke, Helicopter Ben, the guy that was dropping dollars, printing them out of thin air, out of nothing, quantitative easing, 1, 2, 3, 4, bailouts. The Federal Reserve note, as we know it, is exactly what he just mentioned. Please quote me, write this down. The Federal Reserve note is an irrational currency in the sense that it is created out of nothing as a medium of exchange. And that is exactly what it is. As a matter of fact, many of you are going to disagree, probably hate me for saying this. Maybe you won't hate me, but you'll disagree or dislike me. I'm sure we'll get a troll, a couple of thumbs down. Listen, if you take a step back, and I've tried to be objective with this, I've tried to look at it from every different angle, but it's like a freaking diamond. There's so many different angles and facets cut on this topic. It's hard to look at it from one view. Bear with me in this sense. The Federal Reserve note is created out of thin air, out of nothing. They just will it into existence. That's what fiat is. It's just willed into existence by the potentates, by the kings, the emperors, the lords, the overlords of us. They type, as Ron Paul says, digits into a screen now. It pretty much is digitized out of nothing. Whereas at least with Bitcoin, there's a limited supply. There's only 21 million of them. 4 million have been lost. Only 16.7 million have been mined. So there's a fixed supply. We're looking at a finite supply. It was also written and patterned and coded after, supposedly, to mimic that which is gold, the behaviors of gold, its supply expansion, such as gold, being limited and such. The value that you could place on it, some would argue, is electricity. The mining and the confirmations of transactions that take place in the blockchain takes electricity. It takes computers, servers, precious metals. Those circuits have to be backed by silver and gold and wired and powered in order to confirm the movement of cryptocurrency. So in that sense, Bitcoin, cryptocurrency, therefore, fundamentally has to have more value than Federal Reserve notes, which are an irrational currency in that they are created out of nothing by totalitarian statists and overlords. Done. I mean, really, that's a gavel drop for me. That's case closed in my book. I know it took me 9 years to get to the point where I can actually connect these dots. I'm a slow dude. Slow down. I don't get it sometimes. I understood in the beginning what Bitcoin was trying to do. Yes, married to this, there is most likely some type of irrational speculation by people who want to get rich and don't understand the fundamentals of economics. But fundamentally speaking, if you go to the supply-demand curves, and yes, I know it's not physical, guys. I'm sorry. You can't make a keychain code, blockchain algorithm physical, and that does bother me. But I can buy physical stuff with it, and that's happening. So I don't know where all of you are at with that, but again, to me, that's a gavel drop. Case closed. We just saw it. We just witnessed it. We just heard it, and it's more and more every day becoming, to me, a little bit more obvious on who the enemies of Bitcoin actually are and how they're manifesting. Bitcoin broke 12,000. Last night it broke 13,000. Yes, it's on a tear. I know that, and it's unnerving for some. I'm a little ticked off at myself for not owning literally any at this point. Very, 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 very little. You're talking like decimal 0.0, I think 0.005. Very small amount. You're talking I have like $40 worth of Bitcoin to my name. I'm okay with that. I'm okay with the missed opportunity. I'm excited for what it might be doing to those guys, to the guy we just saw, to the elite, to the bankers, to the fiat empire. It could be a threat. I don't know if this is the dollar, in a sense, collapsing or falling against something that was designed to function like gold. If it's taking attention and currency away and people are running to it for the reasons, the right reasons, then so be it. Again, so be it. Now, please be patient and bear with me as we go through this. I want to show you some charts, and I want to read to you guys a comment from one of you subscribers, one of you viewers out there wrote a comment, and I want to read it to everybody. But look at this for a second now. This is the collapse and the fall of the currency, the German mark in Weimar, Germany, due to hyperinflation, and what it took in order to purchase one gold mark that measured 0.35842 grams of gold. Look at the chart. That is how many paper marks it were required to get one gold mark. Now look at that chart and compare it to this one. This is how many dollars are required to buy one Bitcoin. To some of you, I know this is blasphemous. I almost feel like it's blasphemous myself to speak this way and compare Bitcoin, this digital currency, to gold, especially in putting charts up in relation to Weimar, Germany. However, we cannot ignore the fact that there are similarities in the chart, similarities in the health of the currency. This currency is dying. There are some that believe that are also on our side with precious metals, that what we are witnessing is a global fiat collapse against Bitcoin, as in many countries, the people are simultaneously recognizing the potential weakness of their currency and want to put it in a non-inflatable arena, and they want to put it into Bitcoin. Some of them, no. Some of them are just purely speculators. They don't know what they're doing. These people were watching football on Thanksgiving Day, and Uncle Larry told them to buy Bitcoin, so they logged in and they bought Bitcoin. A little bit, a fraction of it. Also, in regards to Weimar, Germany, I have to throw this chart up here because I see it all over Twitter and all over Instagram and places these days. This is the journey of Bitcoin. I'm going to talk about this at a later part of this video and some comments on it, but just look at it for a moment and then compare it to price moves in how many marks were required to purchase gold during the Weimar collapse. Again, we'll talk about this chart later in the video as well, but look at the dates, look at the prices. Now here you go. As you can see, from 1919 to 1923, a 51 trillion% multiplication in how many marks it took to purchase gold. It was literally impossible. But even if you go into the middle zone there, let's go to January 31st, 1923, we see a 219,000% increase so far. 372,477 marks. Now, is this possibly what we are seeing? Is this what is taking place? I don't know for certain. I'm definitely holding on to my gold. I think this could almost cause things that we've never seen before to occur. Will Bitcoin pioneer a way towards currency collapse with people recognizing it? Will there be totalitarian tyrant-like activities to control these cryptos, causing people to rush back into metals? One thing is certain, it is a temperature reading on a thermometer of a very sick economy. And I do believe that people recognize that. I think it would be impossible not to, especially during this age of information available at your fingertips and in absolute hyperspeed. You know, it used to be you had to read about these things in an encyclopedia. Nowadays, you can click on a YouTube video or an article link on Lou Rockwell or 24H Gold, any of such sites, and realize quite quickly that something's not right in the sense that the global economy and fiat paper dollars are ill. A viewer recently wrote this comment, and I will read it here. A challenge to all the gold supporters. Find a Bitcoin owner who lives in a distant part of the world and strike a deal to sell a small amount of your precious metals for Bitcoin, $10 worth. They will be able to get the Bitcoin to you as easily as sending you an email. But obviously it is more difficult for you to do the same. So first, find a way to ship your precious metal and find out how much it will cost and how long it will take to be delivered. Decide whether or not you want to bear the risk for it being lost in shipment and purchase insurance if you want to avoid that risk. Now, the buyer won't want to send you Bitcoin until he has received it, and you also probably don't want to ship it until you have gotten paid. So let's agree to use a third-party escrow agent. You will send the precious metal to a third party at your risk. The buyer will go there to inspect the precious metal and will then send you the Bitcoin. But there is also a risk you might send a gold-plated fake metal. So, before you send it, bring the precious metal to a certified appraiser to verify the purity and stamp it. Also, add an insurance policy verifying the accuracy and honesty of the appraiser. Since this will all take a considerable time where Bitcoin can rise rapidly, the price will be determined when the buyer picks up the shipment. After all that, realize that a Bitcoin transaction can occur between two people anywhere in the world for any amount and in just a matter of minutes, while gold will take a long time. The amount of metal to send is rather difficult to change, and there is a lot of difficulty to determine the purity of anything other than a coin. Otherwise, fractions of that amount need to be assayed. Precious metals may remain a store of value for local transactions, but probably not for anything requiring shipment. If the two Bitcoin people don't trust each other, they can also find an escrow agent. But instead of sending them the actual Bitcoin, the escrow agent receives one key of a 2 or of 3 multi-signature transaction. The buyer has one and the seller has one. The escrow agent can't run off with the Bitcoin like they could with the gold, but they can prevent the seller or buyer from cheating each other. There's Bitcoin's intrinsic value. Thank you to the viewer that submitted that comment. I don't have your name up just to give you some anonymity in case you desire it, and I didn't get your permission to read your comment live, so if people want to go back and try to find it, they can, but I appreciate that type of input from this community. You guys know I'm a big gold guy. If you've been here for any length of time, you certainly know that. And I don't think it's going anywhere. As a matter of fact, I think there is a place, a marriage, if you will, between metals and crypto. Obviously, Bitcoin was born in the mind of individuals, it is said, that wanted to pattern it after gold. So if gold is what Bitcoin is trying to be in a way for these types of transactions, because I think there is a role for international transactions like this, especially if we're getting away from fiat. The governments can't control it or manage it. That's a good thing. Keep the government out of it. Let it be a peer-to-peer, you and me transaction. And like I've shared earlier this week, I have already engaged in some of these transactions to experience and be able to say that I have and educate myself and be able to accomplish those tasks and execute what it takes to perform such a transaction. And I've done so. Now, I just want to say, yes, metal is here to stay. It is the store of wealth, the store of value. However, at times, you can have that vault full of precious metal. You might be able to exchange it for crypto to, let's say, buy a yacht from somebody in India, or a boat, or whatever, a ton of rice. I don't know. I don't know what you're buying or selling, and I don't really care. It's none of my business. I don't care if you're buying ammunition, AK-47s, transport planes, helicopters, helicopter gunships that run on cocaine and panda's blood. Do whatever it is you need to do and just exchange units to do that. And I think what we are seeing here truly is a change in the way that's going to be done in the future. But let's continue on because we still have some points to make. Real quick, I told you we would get back to the one chart. Here's the German marks again. Here's the journey of Bitcoin. Let's take a look real quick at the percentages because they're actually not that staggering. They really are not that staggering, especially if you extrapolate it over 9 years. And you really have to eliminate the first couple of years because the only people that knew about it were nerds. Let's be honest with everybody here. There was like, I did know about it in 2009, but I thought it was for nerds. I thought it was a great idea. It had some neat principles and ideals about it, but I was an idiot. Obviously, I kind of ignored it and criticized it dramatically. And I'm still, again, critical, skeptical, trying to keep an open mind, but I'm looking at it from other angles. Here's what I broke down when I looked at it, comparing it with percentages. Hopefully you can read my chicken scratch there on a piece of yellow notepad. I scribbled the percentages on the left. There's the price moves of Bitcoin in the middle column there, 1,000 to 2,000, 2K, and I just abbreviated it eventually to 2K to 3K, and then I left the Ks out completely, 4 to 5, 5 to 6, those are all thousands. And then on the right side is the number of days it took to make that particular move. And real quick, this is what I put out on Instagram just briefly this morning. I was messing around and I made a quick Instagram broadcast on this chicken scratch.
Hey, real quick, a lot of you are seeing a chart float around online showing you the prices of Bitcoin and then the days it took to move that price leap. So like, for example, and it was never really zero, it was like 6 cents, but it went from whatever it was opened at when it first was introduced to $1,000, took 1,789 days. And I didn't include a percentage over here because that's just, it went from being born to evaluation. But if you look here, you'll see, okay, it went from $1,000 to $2,000, took 1,271 days. 100% gain in 1,271 days. The reason I made this chart real quick is I've seen that image float around a lot. And a lot of people don't pay attention over here to the percentages. They just look at these spreads here, the values. And as you can see, the percentage increase is getting smaller every single 1,000-point move. That's just how math works. So it's becoming actually percentage-wise much more stable in its valuation increases. Obviously, the biggest gains were back here. But, if you invest here at 11, it went to 12. It's even smaller than that now. So there you go. This is the number of days it took to get, again, those moves. If you look at it, 7 to 8,000 took 14 days. That was a 14% move. Just thought I'd put that out there.
All right, that was just something I put on Instagram, merely food for thought, because I wasn't seeing the percentages next to the numbers, and I wanted to. $1,000 move sounds like a lot, but eventually those $1,000 moves are going to be to 2, 3, 4% of a move for Bitcoin. Whereas moving from 6 cents to 12 cents sounds like peanuts. No one paid attention. No one really cared back then. And a 6 to 12 cent move was 100%. Big difference. 100% gains is 100% gains. I mean, you can go out right now, buy 12 tons of pre-82 pennies at face value, and you made 100% gain on your copper investment right there, then and there. All right, in other news, a lot of these were emailed to me from one of the subscribers here. A lot of positive news on the scene for the coin Ripple XRP. I know we've mentioned it here before, and a person who I trust has recommended it, and so I paid attention to it early on, and I think it's going to turn out to be something that might work. Has a lot of technology, a lot of people behind it. Yes, it is more tied to the mainstream banking and financial institutions. I don't think it's as nefarious and evil as some people might believe. I think our fight will be somewhere else on a different battlefield, if you get my drift. I don't think Ripple's the battlefield at this point. I don't think it's the one that we're going to go all, climbing through barbed wire and bleeding on. I'm willing to face an ideological battle, believe you me, my friends. You've heard it here before. I just don't think Ripple is it. I have no issue or problem throwing some quarters down on Ripple, hopefully doubling, tripling, whatever. I can easily see it hitting 50 cents at some point from what I've read and what I've seen, and if that happens, so be it. I am happy to lock that up in yellow metal at some point. Thank you. In other news, I will not spend a lot of time on this next story because you and I will all become dumber for reading it. This is where cryptos get that bad rap. Remember when I said I'm going to remain critical and skeptical? These are the types of things we got to be really critical and skeptical on. Meet CryptoKitties, the $100,000 digital beanie baby, epitomizing the cryptocurrency mania. This is psychosis. This definitely is something that would be a red flag. And makes me think, you know what, it takes away a lot of credibility from any crypto that tries to be serious and anything that's tied to this. So apparently these are somewhat tied to Ethereum. These are, again, I can't spend too much time on it because I will become dumber and you too. You'll start eating crayons and licking windows if you read this entire article at length and try to digest the absolute idiocy that is permeating our society today. Yeah, some moron paid $114,000 for that. A little digital screen kitty with a diamond up its butt. And then you've got these breedable beanie babies. So it's in the news. Anyway, there's the chart for it. It's garbage. Toxic. This is cerebral toxicity right here. Someone's making money though off of these people. The fool and his money are soon parted. Now, this is not and does not represent all cryptocurrency as a whole. I understand that. All right, I thank all of you for being part of the Junior Small P channel. Thanks for being patient, bearing with me, being part of today's broadcast here. These are crazy times. Like I mentioned earlier at the beginning of the video, this is the timeline we're thrust into. This happened. There was a time when there was no such thing as Bitcoin, and now there is a time in which Bitcoin exists. I can't help it. You can't help it. It's here. I do believe blockchain and crypto is most likely here to stay. There was a time when I truly believed it would evaporate, it would be destroyed, something was going to crush it, or something was going to happen to it. The time of me believing it was an absolute conspiracy. I mean, we can come up with conspiracies about a lot of different things, but I just don't see it anymore, that it's this deep state conspiracy. I actually think the statists hate it. I think a lot of you agree. I don't know where it's going. I don't know what the peak is, honestly. I mean, the total market cap's really not that big. If you look at the market cap in comparison to other, what you could call currencies. What's the market cap of all fiat? What's the market cap of all US dollars in circulation, in bank accounts, globally? All US dollars. What's that market cap? What is it? Can someone tell me what the complete market cap is of US dollars? All of them that can be spent. If every single US dollar went on the market tomorrow to purchase goods and services, what would they be? If they all started chasing, we've talked about this before, gold is, the value of it is based upon how many dollars are chasing it at any particular time and want to be locked up in it. There's an infinite supply of dollars, an infinite supply of yen, yuan, rupees, rubles, euros, bolivar. All of these currencies are flooding the market. Everyone's just printing, typing digits into screens. Everyone's got their debit cards, credit cards. It's just endless credit and money, and people are sick of it. So they're locking away that inflatable, debased leper currencies and putting it into at least some place that can't go anywhere, some place that's uninflatable. They can't make any more Bitcoin. That is cool. And I guess there's a code that protects it. And I kind of trust it. I kind of believe it. And that's all right. I was an idiot for not thinking it was going to work. I might be an idiot for kind of trying to see it from a different angle now, trying to meet people halfway on this idea. And I'm willing to somewhat embrace all of the followers and subscribers here and friends that we've been communicating and have been trying to convince me for years and twisting my arm and helping me open up wallets and sending me Bitcoin that ends up lost because I was, dumb, unable to figure it out, impatient, slow, lazy, whatever. But here I am trying to continue on and salvage what I can in my understanding of what's going on here. I live in the present. I don't know the future. I don't. I can tell you what some things that have happened in the past based on what I read. I don't know everything about what happened in the past, but I have looked back a little bit, read some things here and there. I've lived through this timeline with you. I mean, we've all been here together discussing these things. I've been wrong about a lot of it. I think I'm right on a lot of the economic principles with it when it comes to especially a fixed supply unit of account that people want and what that might be, the value of it. There was a time where big rocks had value. Now those are hard to move around. You can't move a big rock on an island. Very difficult. There's labor involved. If you read about Easter Island, there was a big economy around the big statue guys' faces. Stuff there. Big rocks had value too. Now, again, movement, utility of a currency, utility as money, as a medium of exchange. It seems like today Bitcoin is actually maturing in its role in doing so. I hear a lot of people say, oh, no one uses it. No one does this with it. No one does that with it. No one buys or spends or sells. Everyone's just holding. Well, guess what? I received the other day some in payment, like I told you guys. I've done transactions with other currencies in trying to learn and experience and experiment with this new dawn, this new idea. I don't know. Again, I don't know. I'm going to tell you a million times from this point forward, I don't know. I don't know. Ask it. Ask a question. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the answer to that. I do have friends that tell me this is history in the making. Guys I trust. I have other friends tell me this is a paradigm shift. That we're going into a new epoch, a new era. Things are different now. All of them believe gold has value. None of them will sell their gold. One of them continues to stack gold like nobody's business. Like nobody you know. You don't know anybody like this guy that I know. You know what I mean? Nobody. I wish I could. I can't. You saw my 10th the other day. That 10th ounce of gold is the first gold coin I have bought in a long time that I've been able to get with my own hard-earned cash from work. Like I was able to take some money from work and buy gold with it. You notice I didn't buy Bitcoin with it. I bought gold with it. I would like to have some crypto, a little bit more. And I don't know if it's too late for me to get in. I don't think so. I think there is other, perhaps vehicles, other cryptos that are going to be competitive on the scene, on the stage. Will Bitcoin survive? Will it be the only or the champion forever, unchallenged, reigning champ of the arena? Or will someone step in and deal a nice uppercut, knock them out, and fulfill a faster, easier, less expensive transaction role? I don't know. These are all good questions. But again, we live in the present. We don't know the future. All we can do is intake information, digest it, process it, and try to have some form of assessment of what it means. And are you familiar with the OODA loop? Observe, orient, decide, and act. Observe, orient, decide, and act. The OODA loop. There's that, and then there's the identify, predict, decide, and execute. IPDA. do those things. Identify things. Predict, decide, execute. Look around you. Use some situational awareness. Don't rely entirely on everything you read, see, or hear. Formulate some thoughts on your own. That's what this is. I guess that's what our any community, any tribe, if you're in a city, in a town, in a village, it's up to all of us together collectively to bring our little heads together and kind of figure stuff out. So here we are. Here we are, trying to figure stuff out. Keep stacking gold. Thanks for being part of my channel. Thanks for liking, for sharing, for subscribing, participating. Even though we don't all see eye to eye on everything, it's really cool that we can share different points of view. The only reason I think I'm surviving in this arena right now, in this sphere on this channel, is because it's a pretty diverse group. Did that poll the other day. 30-something% of you, 38 or more percent stack metals and crypto. There's another 30% that only go metal. And then there's like a 30% other. Some do this. I think there was 10% of you only stack crypto. So this channel has a contingent of people that are only in one or the other, some that are in a mix in between, and we're all meeting kind of halfway, having this discussion. The cool thing is, let's not abandon anybody. Okay? I won't abandon you guys, you don't abandon me. I know a couple of you, there's been several, and I don't know if they stopped by to watch these and just thumb them down or whatever. There's been a couple that have fled in a tiff, threw their nose in the air, tossed their hair back, made a snorting sound, and walked off. And that's fine. You can break up with me. That's cool. No hard feelings, man. Call me back. Peace out. I've lost a couple patrons in the Patreon account because, I started talking about crypto and I gave it a positive light at some point. You can't, just because I don't hate what you hate. I mean, are we really there right now? That's where you guys draw your lines. No. I'll see you on the other side. Thanks for liking, for sharing, for subscribing. As always, Genius Maltby out.
You cannot tell me that you can create out of nothing something which has a medium of exchange value. It is not a rational currency in that sense. You cannot tell me that you can create out of nothing something which has a medium of exchange value. It is not a rational currency in that sense.